and we move out of survival and into actually living and enjoying life.
That's great. I want more of that. I don't know about anybody else who's listening, but definitely want more of that. Do you ever feel overwhelmed and stressed, a bit jittery, or like your body is running on overdrive, almost as if your cortisol levels are too high too often? And you're wondering, what can you do to reduce that feeling of stress and manage it better? I know the feeling too. Life these days can be overwhelming with all the demands we juggle. Breathwork may help you. Research published in Nature's Scientific Reports shows that breathwork can actually help reduce cortisol, the body's main stress hormone, and it significantly eases feelings of psychological distress. The meta-analysis, which is a study that combines and analyzes lots of studies, demonstrated that breathwork was significantly beneficial, particularly in subclinical or non-clinical populations. Everyday people who experience stress and psychological distress but don't have a formal mental health diagnosis. It's becoming a go-to evidence-based technique for managing stress and supporting mental health. I'm Ros Lindsey. I'm a registered nurse with a Masters of Public Health, and I am passionate about keeping you well for longer. On the Wellness Nurse podcast, you get expert insights from health professionals and practitioners, as well as hearing the inspiring stories of Australians overcoming obstacles to achieve their health goals. Today, I am so excited to be chatting with breathwork practitioner Tash Forbes, who will guide us through what breathwork really is, how it works, and how it can make a difference for you. So welcome, Tash. It is great to see you again and to do a deep dive into all things breathwork.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be back, and it's lovely to see you again.
Oh, Tash, what was the moment or experience that made you realize that breathwork wasn't just another wellness trend, but it's something that can truly change lives?
Yeah, thank you. I think it was really the moment, not just mine, the moment that it could change my life, but I was sitting at the park one morning having a coffee with a friend, and she said to me, "Do you just ever feel like there's something that you've got to do? Like, do you ever feel like you can't sit with your children and be present? Your body's always buzzing, your mind's always racing. It's like you can't settle or sit still." And in that moment, I just paused and I looked at her, because for a second, I used to feel that way. Constant urgency, always proving myself, high functioning woman, and someone who thought I always had to earn my rest. And in that moment, I realized I don't live like that anymore. And that was after 2 breathwork sessions that I had undertaken with a facilitator. And so I don't think it was a big aha moment. And in that moment, I realized we don't need to live like that anymore. And more women need the power of breath work in their lives. So that's where I am, and that's how I got here today.
I think that is such a beautiful phrase that you have just said there. You didn't need to earn your rest. And I think that is a profound statement that many women, including myself, feel on a daily basis. I'm just so excited to explore your journey and what you have seen as you are facilitating other people.
Yeah, thank you. That earning your rest is, that comes back to, generations before us. It wasn't just us, but that's women in general, isn't it? And over time, this proving energy, this doing it all energy. Yeah. And, using the breath to come back to myself, knowing and being okay that I don't actually have to live like that. I now respond differently to life. And I see women in my world and the space that I hold for others, them also being able to rest, be present, have this sense of inner peace that we never knew existed beforehand.
Mm. Mm. And if someone has never tried breath work before, how would you explain it in a way that makes them just want to consider it or even to try it right now?
Breathwork's trending. I think I hear a lot of it, and there's so many styles floating around. It's also not a new concept. This dates back to ancient times, and breathwork has been a practice that many have been practicing for hundreds and hundreds of years. So it is not new, and we're breathing anyway. Like our body is breathing. So there is sort of like many styles of breath work, and there's the gentle belly breathing, there's breath holds, there's mixed breath patterns, and then there's conscious connected breath as well. So there are lots of different techniques. And what I love about it is that it can just fit in with whatever you're feeling like at the moment. So I'm doing breath work right now, or we could move into like more of a breath work journey as well. So there is a spectrum of breath work, and it is really for anybody who's ready to feel again.
Mhm. I've done a little bit of breath work, not a lot, and I really enjoy, I think it's the belly breathing, where when you breathe in and you feel your belly go out and feel like a balloon.
Mm.
And if I do that for a few minutes, it's actually so calming, so centering. And sometimes I just feel like I wish I could stay there.
Yeah,
It is so relaxing.
it is a nice
Yeah.
feeling.
Mm.
One thing I have seen since getting into this space is a lot of people think that you can just take a deep breath to calm down. I don't know if anybody's ever said that to you, just take a deep
Mm.
breath and calm down. But knowing what I know now is that you can't actually just take a deep breath and calm down if you're not actually using the breath correctly and breathing into your belly and expanding it like a big balloon signals to your brain that you are safe. If you continue to
Mm.
breathe shallow into your chest, then you're going to be keeping those stress hormones and the stress centers, the survival parts of you activated. So you're not going to be able to actually calm down. And I thought that, just because I was breathing, taking a deep breath and calming down was going to work. And I used to get really frustrated as to like, why can't I calm down? Because I wasn't actually breathing in a way that supported my body to calm down when practiced correctly. Yeah.
It is a natural process. Obviously, we all breathe, and if you do them correctly, you can get the true benefits of what you are trying to achieve with that
Yeah.
physiologically. I know that when we first met, something that you said really resonated with me, and a benefit that people can experience with different breathing exercises. And you said, if you don't feel the grief, you can't feel the love. So I'm really interested in that process of feeling different emotions and wondering if you might be able to share a time when breathwork helped you or someone else break through those emotional barriers and experience real transformation.
That is something I love to say, is that you need to feel it to heal it. And through breath work, we're not thinking our way through it. We're dropping back into the body and allowing our body to feel it and for ourselves to process that emotion. Emotions are energy in motion. They're not good or bad. And we're all here for the human experience. And that is a range of emotions. That's love, joy, peace, rage, anger, grief. Everything in the emotions wheel is what we should be experiencing. But I'm not sure about you, but how many people do you see, or even in your own life, have you experienced and allow yourself to fully experience some of those emotions?
No, no, because a lot of those emotions we're taught are unacceptable really to experience. And so we find different ways of, yeah, masking them or managing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we were younger and were experiencing these emotions, you're right, we were taught whether that was a safe emotion to have or an unsafe emotion to have. Now, if we weren't allowed to feel the emotion in its entirety, and that comes with what is seen as the negative emotions, sadness, anger, rage, if we weren't safe to feel those, then our body is going to store them as an unsafe feeling. So whenever they do start to arise, the body's going to be signaled that you're under threat, and it's going to allow you not, like, that's not a safe feeling. Let's escape that. And then we suppress that emotion. And in turn, if we're not allowing ourselves to feel one part of it, how can we allow ourselves to fully feel love, joy, gratitude, happiness if we're not allowing ourselves to feel like the opposite end? So through breath work, I like to say it's a journey, and we get out of our mind and back into our body. I facilitated sessions where people often move through big emotional releases. Now that's grief, anger, joy, without needing to talk about it, because the breath changes your physiology, and you can take your thinking brain offline and you can drop back into your body where, your thoughts, feelings, and old memories are stored. So without trying to think your way through it, we know with the unconscious mind that the processing power is only 3 to 5%. So most of our being is happening unconsciously without us having an awareness to it. So when we drop back into the unconscious mind, we can really access those parts that we wouldn't be able to normally think to get to ourselves. And the body leads. So my role as a facilitator is to create a safe space for that journey. For me, there was one particular session, and within minutes, I was just crying, sobbing. My body was shaking, not just a couple of tears, but full level of grief that I never thought I didn't really know that I was holding on to that. I thought I was, going through the day. And I mean, we all have life experiences. So these are going to be stored if they're not felt. Throughout the session, it was more an accumulation of the grief for me, how hard I'd been on myself for all the things I was holding together for everybody else. And underneath that release, there was so much love. So much love for the version of me that kept going, for what I had been numbing all this time. And I felt it release out of my body. So there was just like a sensation of tension being released. And I came out of that session absolutely feeling like lighter and so much more at peace, because I allowed the body to fully feel those experiences that I had kept open. And then the nervous system recalibrated and was like, that's closed. Let's move on. So it's really powerful stuff.
It's incredibly powerful. And I think what you've just said there was you didn't know that you had that grief in the first place. And through breath work, you were able to access that grief. You were able to release it. And once that was released, another emotion of joy and love was able to be expressed. Is that right?
Yeah. And that was through the session. And then coming out of that, now I just see the world a lot different, like a lot more brighter when I'm actually more present with my children. I have 3 children, and when they're playing on the monkey bars out the back, for instance, and I can just all of a sudden just be sitting with this wave of like gratitude and love for them. And that's something that I'd never experienced before. And I think a lot of people's, like, oh, I love that. But do we really feel into those emotions that we say? And I could never understand when people would be crying with joy. I'll be like, oh, it's not that. But now I know it's like your body is actually feeling that emotion in its entirety. And it happens to me a lot more now throughout the day when I'm with my kids, or when somebody tells me some really good news. Like today, a friend told me she was pregnant, and I was just like bawling straight away. That's never happened before. I've been like, oh, happy, but actually a whole body feeling of that. It's an incredible feeling. And without tapping in to my body, without releasing the grief, or it's not releasing it, it's sort of like feeling it, I wouldn't be able to be experiencing this complete joy and opposite end of the scale.
I mean, that to me sounds very inspiring, because I think for a lot of us, we don't give ourselves permission to to feel those very heavy emotions. And for some people, for a lot of people, there is a lot of pain. And to actually feel those emotions in a safe place, it must be very liberating. And I see it almost as a fast track towards healing. I think that's a very attractive proposition. What I'm wondering, and maybe you as a listener might be wondering, are we going to become too emotional or emotional when it may not be so appropriate? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
I don't think so. I think that the more people are sort of having this awakening of like, we have one life, we're here to experience it, more people stepping into their power, more people letting go of the limiting beliefs and sort of what society has always told us is what we need to be. There's lots of people going against the grain and like, yeah, really living life. And I
Mm.
don't think we can become too emotional. I think that, being emotional gives us a sense of vulnerability, and then that connects us as humans. That's what we're here to do, right? So yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing in any way.
Mm. Absolutely, very much so. Just being able to fully experience life. There's been a lot of sort of parameters that have been put around us, I think, and we do like to operate within a certain framework that is acceptable.
A lot of people can resonate with that as well. Is
Yeah.
like, you're having a really difficult time, and the amount of people that are having a really difficult time and their mental health is not going well, you'll speak to them and they'll just be like, yeah, I'm fine. And we don't but there's this sort of perception that we have to be fine. I think it's not more about you and your feelings. It's like we're not safe to have our feelings around others as well. And they just don't know what to sort of do if you do become emotional, or if you're not okay. That I don't think we're equipped, and people just sort of like, how you going, like every day, how you going, and there's no time or space for anyone to actually give a real answer.
Mm.
Also don't even actually really know how they are doing, how they are feeling. And that's why I think breath work is so powerful, because it actually coming back to your breath and coming back to yourself and really checking in on how are you really feeling and how are you doing and what do you need right now, without the judgment, without the analysis, like just coming back to you.
Perfect. We're going to talk a little bit more about what sort of sessions you run later in the conversation, but that certainly sounds very, very attractive. So most of us are stressed out and overwhelmed. Can you break down, and you've really touched on that a little bit, but in simple terms, how something as basic as breathing can actually rewire our nervous system and help us manage that daily stress?
So that stress response is a normal bodily response if you are under threat. So it's sort of like understanding our nervous system and how that works. That leads into the best stress management that we can get. But when I say breathwork rewires your nervous system, it's because we're operating from an experience every time. So imagine you're stuck in traffic and you're being late for something. That's a stress that people experience. What's actually the stress underneath it? Is it like you're running late, or you're going to let somebody down? Like there's a reason underneath what is causing the stress. It's not that you're stuck in traffic. It's the subconscious stories and the patterning that is running those feelings in your body. So if you stop and come back to that, you come from a place of responding, not reacting. And you can come from snapping to sort of like taking a breath and, is that a response I really want to give? And we move out of survival and into actually living and enjoying life.
That's great. I want more of that. I don't know about anybody else who's listening, but definitely want more of that. So
Yeah.
there's many types of breath work out there. Can you walk us through a few of your favorites and explain how each one can help us in different ways?
Yeah. So I probably have two favorites. The first technique is belly breathing. And I mean, it's not groundbreaking. We're breathing anyway. But becoming conscious of your breath really does shift your state. And so people always say to me, yeah, I really should be practicing breath work more. Yeah, we should be. But if you think about being able to calm down or be less tense in the body. We have to train our body for that. We can't just go out and run a marathon tomorrow. We need to train, and the body needs to have reps in that. So learning how to breathe to actually calm down is one of the most powerful things. And that comes back to the belly breathing, expanding your belly on the inhale and then letting it fall back towards your spine on the exhale. And so that is the easiest. Keeping your chest still, breathing in and out through your nose, in for 4, hold, and then out for 6 to 8 counts. And that really switches your brain from fight or flight, from I'm running from an invisible bear, down to, oh no, I am calm, I am safe. Even if there is a threat, you're still using your breath to tell your body that you are safe. And that has to be my favorite, because it can be done anywhere. It's just being able to become conscious of your breath.
Yeah, it's mine too. It's very doable. It's very easy, and you can do it even if you're in a meeting or you're on the train or in traffic, as you say. It's very easy.
Just that conscious awareness. And then there's the conscious connected breath, which can be facilitated by somebody, or you can do short stints on your own. And in these sessions, this is obviously the breath changes your chemistry in the body. So then you can access those parts of your unconscious mind that you wouldn't normally be able to get just breathing into your belly. You're not going to be able to access that.
And is that a different technique, the
Yes,
conscious connected breathing?
it's more of a fast-paced breath, and there's multiple different ways you can do them as well.
And just on that, with that conscious connected breathing and it's fast paced, are there any risks or people that, it may not be suitable for?
Yes, so there are contradictions to that type of breathing, but I would recommend, it's still doable, but I would recommend that you speak to a trained facilitator, or speak to your GP if you have any concerns about undertaking breathwork. But those that are pregnant probably should not undertake this breathwork. The jury's still out on whether or not what's sort of happening, because you are changing the oxygen levels in the body and that sort of thing. Like, you don't want to hurt or harm an unborn child. Also, those with heart conditions or severe mental health conditions, they also probably just need to be taken through with a trained facilitator, and they will work through that individually with you and your needs.
Right. That sounds very important. So there are some contradictions. If you are considering breathwork, just have a quick chat to your GP or do a search, and just take your safety into account at all times, and make sure you engage a trained facilitator.
Yes, yeah. And if you Google it, people say, like, don't, people with high blood pressure not to do breath work, but actually breathwork is actually what you need. If you are feeling stressed, overwhelmed, all these things, like, breathwork is exactly what you need.
In your one-on-one sessions, what's the most surprising or powerful thing you've seen happen when someone releases stored emotions through breathwork?
Well, every session is very powerful in its own way, because each journey is so deeply personal to the person going through the journey, and no two people are the same. No two people have the same story. So, of course, every journey will be different. But it really does surprise me what the body holds. And I don't know if you've heard the body keeps score, but that is so true. And the more sessions I facilitate and the more I see it, the more it just reinforces that statement. And I always go back to it. And through a session, how much is willing to be let go of when you finally feel safe to process the experience, the emotion, the memory. I've had so many women, mainly, who I work with, come out saying, I didn't think anything was going to happen. I'm not emotional. I don't normally get emotional. And then within minutes, they're crying, shaking, releasing years of tension that they didn't know was there. I've seen people reconnect with memories that they hadn't thought about. And I've seen rage, laughter, grief all surface in one session. Watching somebody's face come out of a breathwork session when they have just healed years of trauma, grief, or even just joy that they've not allowed themselves to experience before, is just the best feeling. And I feel really privileged to be able to hold that space for people and to see them come out just glowing.
I imagine and envision you creating a very safe space for people. Tash, thank you for sharing your insights today about breathwork and its transformative power. I am intrigued. I want to know more about it. I want to experience it. Can you just tell us how people might find you and how they could follow your work and find
Yeah.
out more about it?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor to be on here with you. I love the work and the mission that you're on. I created Breathing Space, a bit of a cliche name, but I come back to, we don't give ourselves permission. We don't give ourselves breathing space at all, especially as a busy mum, business owner, high achieving woman. So I've created this space. It's online. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram at Breathing Space. And over there, I am promoting well-being through breathwork and nervous system regulation and through one-on-one coaching.
That's fantastic. If anybody is interested in finding out more about the power of breath work, just check out that site, Breathing Space. Have a look. Also, if you are interested, I have a free guide that explains why it's really important to manage your stress, and it links to research that explains the harmful effects of stress in our body. I'll put the link in the show notes. That's 7 Habits to Boost Your Health and Longevity. So you can find out more about that there. Tash, thank you again. It's been lovely to meet you again and to learn from you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you.